What is up, guys? Welcome back to a new video series. It's going to be for Paladins console. This is going to pretty much be a video breaking down loadouts for each specific champion and telling you guys what's currently good, what situations, what legendaries you currently want to be running to get the most out of each specific champion, and to give you guys my honest thoughts and my honest opinions on pretty much loadout wise and talent wise currently for pretty much everything. So if you guys are wanting new solid loadouts or stuff like that, if you're just beginning the game and wanting loadouts and stuff that you can just pretty much plug and play and just throw a loadout into your loadout creator when you're first starting the game or something, if you're a new player and checking out this video. This is going to be a console loadout creator. I don't know if maybe it's different on PC, but most of the stuff I do say and do on this loadout guide video is going to be for a console. So just keep that in mind. If you guys want me to keep doing these videos, it's probably going to be like a 2 or 3 part series, just because I'm going to go in depth with pretty much everything. And these videos, I'm going to try keeping each video about 20 minutes, so it'll probably be a 2 or 3 part series. Let me know if you guys like these, if you guys would want more of this in the future or anything like that. But I think this is probably going to be like a one-time series, just because loadouts really don't get changed all that often, unless you're like Grok and you get like your entire loadout cards all changed. But I'm gonna hop right into this. We're gonna start out with Androxus. Also, please, if you're new, subscribe. Really, honestly appreciate it. Leave a like on this video, and if you are a subscriber or if you're new, please share the video. Really helps me out. With that being said, now I'm going to get right into this. Androxus, there's only really one talent you're going to be running with Andro currently. That's Cursed Revolver. Such good poke damage, such great damage up close, 900 headshots, I think it is. Just overall, it's great damage. Best talent for him currently. Granted, you can run Defiant Fist and COD Slayer if you're like an absolute god Androxus player, but if you're going to be running Andro, Cursed Revolver just has so little drawback to the point where you just have to run it on like every game. As for cards, now I'm just going to be giving guys my personal opinions. I really don't want to give my exact loadouts away for most of these, but usually what I end up running, Quick Draw is probably one of his best cards. I usually run Quick Draw at like 3 or 4. You just need that extra ammo. Having 9 ammo in your clip instead of 6, I think is absolutely great, and I think that's where it usually should be. Or if you want to run 10, that's also great. I think as for his other cards, Elusive at like a 2 or a 3 in most loadouts, very solid card. Sleight of Hand, I think, is a solid 2 or 3 in most of his loadouts. Watchfly, I think, is probably one of his only 5 cards. I put that at a 5 every time, just because it's the only way to really get his cooldowns back, especially in like sticky situations where you need your cooldowns, you need your nerf stuff to get out of danger. Probably the only other thing I'd really throw on loadouts is maybe Through the Warp as like a filler card. Seething Hatred ain't bad either. A lot of other stuff. It's pretty much just what you want to run, honestly. Andro has a couple other cards. If you want some self-sustain on your dashes, you can run that as well. But mainly this is something kind of like I would run. Not exactly my loadout, but something I'd kind of run for most of my stuff. Give or take a couple digits and a couple points in these cards. But overall, Andro currently is kind of a very easy champion to just put a loadout for. You're going to be doing well with pretty much anything. Or most things, at least. I wouldn't say anything, but most things. On to Ashe. Ashe. I honestly really don't know about Ashe. She has a few different types of builds. Battering Ram, Fortress Breaker, Slugshot. For Fortress Breaker, if you're going to be running Fortress Breaker, you need to have, what card is it? Siege Shield at 5 if you're running Fortress Breaker. Even as a filler card, I think on most loadouts you have to have it as like even like a 3. But if you're running Fortress Breaker, you have to have it at 5. As for our other cards, Lifesteal, really good. Still. Increase the knockback distance of your shoulder bash. That's always great. Knockback of your kinetic burst. That's always a solid card. And DR. I'd actually probably take this one away and actually put CDR there just to have CDR on a lot of your stuff. She has a few different things that you can put filler, but I'd put lifesteal like a 4 most times or 5, just because it's really good on most of her loadouts. Active cooldowns, you want to put that at a 2 or 3, really solid card. Kinetic burst, I usually have that at a 5 just because it's great on maps where you can just poop people off the map. It forces people to buy resilience, and if you guys don't know resilience, if you do stack resilience, it actually prevents knockback or makes knockback like kinetic burst and shoulder bash less effective, so it forces people to buy an item, which is really great. And a little bit of DR's filler, I don't know. Like I said, these loadouts are really into exact of what I would run just because I really don't want to give my loadouts out. But I'm just telling you guys pretty much good cards or stuff to run on a lot of loadouts. Overall, any of these cards or some other variant of these cards, plus a couple different filler cards, would work. Battering ram, I don't know. Battering ram, slugger shot, not really too much variant between loadouts there. As for Atlas, I think Atlas is kind of stuck currently. He really doesn't have too many diverse loadout cards. The only thing I would really put for Atlas would be, which one is it? Phantom Pain. You need to have this at a 5 for every one of your builds. Currently, reduce the cooldown of stasis field by 5 seconds after hitting an enemy with setback. Now, if you pair this with Big Wall, Temporal Divide, and you run Chronos 3, your Big Wall is on an 8-second cooldown. Granted, you have to land your setback, but if you're good at landing setback, especially on the tanks, it's really easy to land on like every tank. You have your wall constantly on an 8-second cooldown, which is absolutely fucking broken. I wouldn't say it's really broken, but it's really OP. Just for the sheer size of your wall. As for other cards, I'd put other one, generate 1 ammo. I'd keep this at a 1. This is a great filler card for fully charged shots, so you don't use ammo. Increase your healing, distant memory. I'd actually put this at a 4 or 5 in most of my loadouts. Beyond the Veil, great filler card. Put it at a 2 or 3 in most of your loadouts. Old Wounds, great filler card. Ravages of Time, getting ult percent on eliminations, a really good card. Kind of a card that you don't really see the effects of it, but it really piles up really quick, especially even with like 2% ult charge on like an elimination. You're gonna be getting a lot of eliminations. It's not even a kill, so I think that's a really underrated filler card. Grand Atlas really doesn't have the best of like tank ults in the game, but I think it's still a really good filler card. There's all the other stuff, like I said, HP. It kind of depends on what you want to run, but you need to have Phantom Pain at a 5 in like every one of your loadouts. And you can do this with Deja Vu, and you'll get if you had 2 enemies with setback, you'll get a 10-second cooldown on your stasis field, which it really ain't that it's not really that like groundbreaking, just because it's not really like a temporal divide, but still, it can be decent on with Deja Vu as well. His other talent's kind of useless currently. Nobody runs on Sable Fissure. He only has really 2 viable talents if you're going to be using Atlas. On to Barrack. Are we in? I'll go for another 5 minutes maybe. We'll see how it goes. Barrack has 3 viable talents. These are all great talents. Arctic Tonics, Fortify, Tinkrin, all great talents currently. Not really going to put a talent there just because they're all good. Healing Station, I'd put this at a 4, like every one of your loadouts. Healing Station is probably one of his most required cards. Bowling Ball got really nerfed. It's not worth it running at a 5 anymore. I'd run it at like a 2 or 3 in most of your loadouts. Combat repair, you need like a two or three, most of your loadouts. One man's scrap and one man's treasure. I had actually put these at, I put one man's scrap at a 5, and I had probably put it at a, I put one man's treasure at like a 2 or a 3 in most of your loadouts. Apart from that, it's just kind of flip and flop, whatever you want to do with the rest of his loadout cards. I don't know. He really doesn't have that many good filler cards. It's kind of just what you want to run. Increase your max health. I guess that's always a good filler card on some of your loadouts. Passing through your barricade increases your movement speed. It's kind of whatever you want to do. But I'd say that something like this or something similar to this would actually work for most of your loadouts. On the Bomb King, now I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I really don't play too much Bomb King. Bomb King is more of a PC character. Granted, you can still use him on console. I just don't play him very often. I think all of his talents are decently viable, but if you're going to be running him on console, most likely you're going to be using either Chain Reaction or Royal Subjects. At least from what I know with Bomb King, Royal Decree, or not really Royal Decree, that's a filler card. It was the other one. King's Court, you're going to run at a 5, just like in all of your loadouts. Increase your movement speed. I think that's a good filler card. He has a lot of CDR cards and like self-sustain cards. I honestly really don't know what to really run in most of his loadouts. It's kind of pick and choose what you really want. Uncontrolled, getting reduce your cooldowns, always great to have. I'd probably put that at like a 3 or 4. Royal Decree, increase reload speed, probably at a 3. And it's kind of whatever you want. He has a lot of other cards. I'm not really going to put a card for the 5th one just because I'm not 100% sure. I really don't play at that much Bomb King. Maybe like ammo, or I don't know. Depends what you're going against. Increase your air control, whatever. But yeah, something like this, and then with like another filler card, I think would probably be overall really solid, depending on what for most of his talents. On to Buck. Now Buck currently, I'd say Buck Bounce House is situational. I'd say he only really has 2 viable talents, Bulk Up and maybe Ensnare. Bounce House, like I said, super situational. Kind of relies on teams that really don't have too much mobility that you can just like dive upon and constantly just dive. If they have something with like a lot of mobility, like a Mave or like a Furia or something that has like a knockback or like a dash or something that can get out of the way, you're not really going to be choosing that legendary much anyways. Cards. Which one? No Escape, you're going to want to add 4. Really essential card. Stomping Ground, you're going to want that at a 5. That's probably his best card. You're going to need that to steamroll. Street Sweeper, I'd put that at a 2 or 3, just because I think that's a really solid middle ground card. And being that Buck only has 5 ammo, you're constantly going to be reloading and trying to get damage. Increase your healing while at below 50%. I put that at a 2 or 3 in most of your loadouts. Last one, it kind of depends on what you really want. If you want more jump strength, if you want more cooldown reduction, DR. I know I'd put Lifesteal just because I usually use Ensnare, but you can kind of swap this out for anything. Mainly just these 4 cards in most of his loadouts, and a variant of this would work for most of his talents. Like I said, it depends on what you want, but if you're running like something like a bulk up set, you'd run probably more like DR. I'd run DR on like max DR on like a bulk up build and stuff like that. So depends what talent you're running, but a variant of something like that. would work. Cassie. There's not really too much reason to play Cassie on console, but if you're going to be playing Cassie, you're going to be playing her for the big game, just because you're going to be going against a team with a lot of heavy tanks. Um, Something I like to run with big game is one boost the cooldown of disengage. I'd put that at a 5 if you're running big game. Increase the knockback. Really good versus tanks. Really good. I'd put that at a 5 as well. I'd put both of these at a 5 if I'm being completely honest, or 4 or 5 for that if you're running big game. Excitement, I'd put it like a 3. 3 or 4. And the last two are kind of just filler cards. Increase the distance of dodge roll. I'd probably put that as a filler card. And then quiver, give you a little bit more ammo. I don't know, something of a variant of this if you're running big game. But if you're running like a exaction or like an impulse build, I'm not really going to cover impulse build in this video just because I think that's probably her least common talent. But if you're running like an exaction build, you're going to be running incitement, probably at like a 5. You're going to be getting that 4-second cooldown on your dodge roll if you hit with your first arrow. Increase your movement speed after dodge roll. That's a great card to have on an exaction build. Maybe self-sustain on your dodge roll. Not 100% sure. Somersault, kind of cool to have. I don't know. The last couple ones are, at least for an excitement build, you really only need those 2 cards. Maybe some reload speed if you're getting eliminations. It kind of really depends, but if you're running like an exaction build, probably these 2 cards mainly, and then it's kind of just filler. Maybe like a dodge roll, some more dodge roll distance, whatever. Overall, just kind of a gist, some ideas. Mainly what you're going to be running with her currently. Dredge. Dredge right now, I don't know, if you're going to be running them, you're going to be going with Scuttle. Hurl pretty much makes his base kit useless just because you're kind of forced to get value out of your talent by using the harpoon. If you really don't use a harpoon, then you're kind of neglecting your base kit. Abyss Spike, I don't know, I don't think it really has enough value for a talent currently. I think Scuttle is still its best talent. I'd start out with healing with your shortcut. That's probably one of his best cards. I'd probably put that at like 4 or 5. Ammo. What else? Sea Dogs is a good filler card. Reckless Barrage, which you're going to be spamming broadside, most likely onto a point or somewhere, or like a choke point. You're going to be getting a lot of health back. And Reduce and Heave Away is a great card, just because you're going to be using broadside a lot with Scuttle. I'd actually probably put this at a 4 or 5. 3 or 4 into his ammo. Some extra healing. It's kind of just a variant of these cards. There's a lot of filler cards as well. I guess there's an okay amount. It depends. If you want some ammo on hits with broadside, some extra health, if you're somebody that kind of wants more mobility, and you actually use your shortcuts, and you actually get through them without getting killed before you try using them, unlike me, which most happens to me. Jump height out of your shortcut could be useful if you want some knock up. Hangman's Ire is also a good card. I should probably put that in here over like something else. But Hangman's Ire, I'd probably run that at like a 3 in most loadouts as well. I think that's a super solid card. Just because he doesn't have the best mobility, I think that shield really helps him out. Apart from that, not really too much else. I mean, there's some knock up if you want more mobility. You can use broadside to knock yourself away. Just depends on what you want to play, but I think that overall this is kind of the most solid loadout, some type of variant of this currently. It's what you're going to be using with Dredge. I'll go up till Evie, and then I'm actually going to call this part 1. Drogo's currently, I'd say all of his talents are currently viable, but if you're playing on console, you're going to be playing Worm Jets. Altitude probably is one of his best cards. Fuel Tank. Thrill the Hunt. What else do you really have? I don't know. It kind of depends what talent you want to run. If you're running like a more of a fire spit build, you're going to be running. Maybe if you want to run some size, if you're fire spit, if you're not really good at hitting your fire spits. They also gave him an explosion card, I think. Rain of Fire is also great for a Worm Jets build. What else? What else? I guess Hot Swap is a decent filler card, but mainly you're going to be running these cards at like a 4 or 5. Fuel Tank, probably at a 5 most times. 3, something like that, most times. Rain of Fire, I'd probably put it at a 5 as well. It's kind of just a variant of these 4 cards, and then maybe like, or 4 or 3 of these cards, and then maybe like 2 filler cards, depending on what you want. If you're running more of a fire combustible build, then you probably run something more with like a boost the cooldown of Fire Spit for each champion hit. I'd probably throw that condensation on there. Maybe Follow the Scent. I don't know if they actually work. I swear he had a card where it actually increased the explosion radius. I don't know if that's on here or what, but I swear one of these cards isn't correct. I don't know. I swear he had a card that they reworked. I think maybe they reworked Follow the Scent instead of size into explosion radius. If that's the case, I'd run Follow the Scent with combustible. I'm not 100% sure, but I swear he had an explosion crease card that they reworked recently. I don't know if it's incorrect on this website or what, but some variant of this, at least currently for Drogos. Same with Fusillade. I'd probably do that as well. Evie. Going to be completely honest with you guys, I really don't play too much Evie. And I think Evie on consoles gets just kind of overshadowed just by a lot of the other easier to play and more effective, easier to play flanks and damage champions. But for Evie, I think Wormhole's still probably her best talent. Unless you're like an absolute god with Evie, then go pick up any of her talents. But I think Wormhole still her best. Link. Riftwalk's good. Good card at like a 2 or 3. Teleport. She had an HP card. I want to throw that on there. 30 HP. And she has movement speed after getting a killing blow. I don't know. It kind of depends on your last card's kind of filler. It depends what you really want. Reduce the cooldown of Soar. Increase your flight speed of Soar. Reduce the cooldown. All your cooldowns by 10 to 50% after getting a killing blow. It kind of depends on what you want. But you're mainly going to want these cards. You're going to want this at a 5. You're going to want this probably like 3. Distance at a 5. And then the last 2 are going to be filler. Something sort of like that. I don't know. 2, 3, 2. I don't know. Something like that. Like I said, I really don't play too much Evie, but I think her loadouts haven't really changed to the point where it's drastically changed. So she still has a couple cards that you're going to want to be running in most of her loadouts. Now, if this was like a Over the Moon set, I'd actually throw Killing Frost on this set, and I put that at a 5. Reduce the cooldown of Soar by 100% after getting a killing blow, just because it kind of relies on that. with Over the Moon. And Snow Globe's kind of self-explanatory. You just need to really do a lot of damage and know what you're kind of doing. Apart from that, I'm going to end the video here. This is going to be part 1. If you guys want to see part 2, let me know by liking this video. If you're new, subscribe, and sharing the video really helps me out. I'll see you guys in a future video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the support.